Here's a question for you. On Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which one's better? Apple Maps, Google Maps or Waze? Over the past few years, I've actually cycled between all three of them to find out which one is best. All three of course work and will get you from point A to point B, but they do offer different features. But most importantly, which one is the most reliable for a sat-nav in the car? And then also, which one am I going to use going forward? All of this and much, much more. Let's get into it. So first up, compatibility. Now Apple Maps, as the name suggests, is owned by Apple and of course is primarily only on Apple devices, so iPhones, iPads, Macs and that sort of thing. Google Maps, on the other hand, is the default for Android devices, but you can of course download this for iPhones as well. This is of course downloaded on the App Store, and then when it comes to Waze, this is a third-party app but can be downloaded on the App Store or the Play Store on Android devices. So how long have these guys been around? Apple Maps launched about September 2012, Google Maps was around February 2005, and then Waze, this was kind of officially known around about 2008. Now Google, being Google, definitely has the largest data set by far because number one, of course, it's the oldest, so it has the most data there, and it's just available on virtually every single device out there. You can get it on a web browser, you can get it on phones, you can get it on tablets, it's native in some car multimedia systems like Volvo and the new Mercedes CLA, it's basically everywhere. Now Apple Maps, when it launched, had, let's be honest, a pretty rough start. I remember this firsthand. I lived in Bournemouth at the time, years and years ago, and there are three towns next to each other. So there's Poole, Bournemouth and then Christchurch. And I searched for Christchurch and it decided to navigate me to New Zealand of all places. So there are little things like this which really let it down in its early days. Thankfully though, in 2025 going on 2026, it is much better. Oh, and then finally Waze. Of course, it came out around about 2008, but then was actually acquired by Google in around about 2013 for, wait for it, just over $1 billion, which is insane. Yes, Waze is actually owned by Google today, but they fundamentally do operate in different apps for a slightly different experience. But here is Apple Maps. Now this has actually had a refresh since the introduction of iOS 26 with liquid glass, so you'll see lots of these glassy elements in certain areas, kind of just giving it more of a modern refresh, and of course very native to iOS, so it is quite speedy. Now this is what it looks like when you first open it up on Apple CarPlay. However, if you tap anywhere on the screen, of course you'll bring up a menu on the right hand side which has your pinned, so these are your favourite places, or of course your recents, and we'll go through a few of those in just a second. The reason why I like Apple Maps, very clean, minimal experience, it's very polished as well, and even things like, for example, when you're driving around and you receive a text message, the actual UI animations will move the map up so you can clearly see. So little things like that I do quite like, whereas Google Maps and Waze don't do that. Speaking of, Google Maps looks just like this, so this is what it looks like when you open up the app. Now if you tap anywhere on here, of course then you can tap on search on the top left there, and then you can view your recent searches or your saved places, which will of course be very similar to Apple Maps. Now Google Maps have a trick up their sleeve with of course their huge data-rich interface, so things for example like their POIs are one of the best out there just because it's Google. Google have Google Search, Google POIs, Google reviews even on the app as well. It's just full of data. So if you're trying to find something you've never been to a place before, Google Maps is a pretty good one to use. Waze, on the other hand, does look very similar to Google Maps, but it almost has this sort of like cartoon overlay. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean, look at that little guy down there. You can see here, if we go onto the report function, you don't have those sort of icons on Google Maps or Apple Maps. Now, when you want to navigate somewhere on, say, Apple Maps, for example, let's start a navigation. So tap on the screen somewhere. Now, of course, you can go on search on the top there, but I already have something I've searched for recently, which is Bournemouth Pier. So that's just next town across and right there. Instantly gives you 3 results. Tap on go, and there we go. Arrival on the bottom right there, time to get there, and of course the mileage. Now, of course, you can mute and unmute just on the top there. I'm going to leave it muted just for now. But yes, this is what it looks like when a route is going. And now to cancel it is pretty easy. You just tap anywhere here and then end route. So pretty easy, really. Now to do the same thing on Google Maps, let's go to search. So we tap anywhere on the screen and go search, recent searches, and then Bournemouth Pier. Now here's a slight difference between Apple Maps and Google Maps. Best route, despite some traffic, but it's getting better. Paid parking lot. It's very American. But yeah, obviously there's not free car parks near Bournemouth Pier, so you have to pay for them. So it just gives you that information. If you've never been there before, very useful to know. So tap start, and away we go. Very, very similar interface as you can see here. Then when it comes to the Waze experience, search, and then you can see recents just there, Bournemouth Pier, and away you go. There's not even an option to choose route by default. It will just take you on the fastest route possible. Now, Apple Maps offers different views. So if you tap anywhere on the screen, you can then choose these on the top left just up here. So you can change the position, whether you're having north up or whether it's the direction you're going. Then of course you can do 2D and 3D just underneath as well. Google Maps is very similar. You have to go into settings to change this up here, and then you can choose north up there. Although I did note that 2D and 3D are only done on the app. But again, unlikely you're going to change it while driving. Waze, same thing for that one. You can't change anything on here. It has to be done on the app. All of them offer a very, very similar experience when it comes to moving around the map manually. So if you tap anywhere on the screen here, you can then zoom in and out just on the bottom left there, and then tap on this one to move around the map if you wish to. Google Maps is the same down here, and same for Waze, it's just done up there instead. So yeah, pretty much the same. All apps also feature a speedometer as well, so of course I appreciate every car has a speedometer here somewhere, but they can show on the different variations of apps as well. But one weird thing, this does vary around the world. I do specifically remember this on Apple Maps at launch, or I say at launch a few years ago, but it doesn't seem to be on there in the UK now. But you can of course see this if you go onto Waze. You can see it there just on the left hand side. Same thing with Apple Maps and Google Maps. I don't know why it's not shown on there. They do show you actually the speed limits for the road you're on, and of course this is accurate for the GPS positioning and the map data that they have. So it can't always be 100% relied on, but it is useful to have just in case you're on a road you're not familiar with. Now let's do something a little more complex and put these apps to the test. So I know of course where I am at the moment. I am in Poole. I am specifically here in a car park filming this video, and I want to navigate to Bournemouth Pier, but I've decided to add something along the route, and that is a fuel station because I need to get some fuel. So let's go Apple Maps. The sat-nav's now going to the same place where we were, Bournemouth Pier, but now I want to add a little stopover. So let's go here, add a stop, and conveniently Apple Maps has petrol stations just there. We'll see how the other two do in just a second. Now, does it add it along the route? Because there are some fuel stations which are and some aren't. It does appear to have taken in the actual route that I have and put it there. So Shell is definitely along the route. You can see it's just there, and you can add a stop. So now I'm going via that without really changing the route that much. Okay, so Google Maps is going to the same place, but I've decided to add a fuel stop. So let's tap on here and then add stop. Petrol stations, so yeah, very similar experience. Now this one has chosen BP, but is Shell there? That's the question. There it is. So it is quick detour, not too far away from the existing route. Okay, Waze is set up to do exactly the same thing. So to navigate to a different stop on Waze, tap anywhere on the screen, search, categories, fuel. You can see the different variations there. I think what Waze does is actually just search where you are like right now as opposed to along your route. But there's that Shell one, and then go now. Now it gives you the option here to add a stop or new drive, so we'll add a stop. And then again, the time will be updated just underneath. Now when it comes to the different voices on Apple Maps, Google Maps and Waze, here's Apple Maps.
At the roundabout, take the first exit onto Newfoundland Drive.
Now Apple Maps specifically is dictated by what Siri is set to.
At the roundabout, take the third exit onto Seldown Road Bridge.
Just like that. So you can have American, British, Indian, Australian, all sorts. So you control what voice you want for Siri on the Siri settings on your phone. Google Maps, which is actually run by Google Assistant. So if you have a Google Assistant speaker kind of set up at home with the kitchen hubs and that sort of thing, you'll notice it be the same voice. And you can choose from two, if I remember. The default one's the female one.
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Mount Pleasant Road.
And then finally Waze. Now Waze has an abundance of different voices to use. You can even choose celebrities and things like that. This is what I mean by this kind of fun, cartoony, sort of fun vibe to it. But I've just got the default on here at the moment.
At the roundabout, take the first exit on Newfoundland Drive.
Now, as I briefly mentioned earlier, Apple Maps I especially like with how fluid it is and how it just moves around on the different elements on the screen. So as you can see here, we're on a straight road, so the map would just be dead straight in the direction you're going. But as you approach the turn, it will zoom in closer and closer so you can clearly see where you need to go, and then automatically zoom back out again when you go a little bit quicker. It's just these little touches I like as well. And as I mentioned, if you receive a text message as it comes through, it'll move the map up so you can clearly see it as well, which Google Maps and Waze doesn't do. Now, another very important aspect of using satellite navigation in cars is the ability to control them via voice. All of them offer this, and now you can actually use Siri natively to control them all, which is really, really good. Previously, you had to use the voice command button on Google Maps and Waze, but they offer virtually the same features here. But in this example, navigate to Bournemouth on Apple Maps, Google Maps and Waze produced similar results. But there is one thing which might make you choose one or the other, and that is satellite view. Now, Apple Maps don't have a satellite view on CarPlay. Yes, they do on the phones and iPads and tablets and Mac and that sort of thing, but not on CarPlay. Google Maps does, and Google Maps is the only one that offers a satellite view. This can actually be enabled on the fly, so if you go into settings up here and then go satellite map, this is about the only way you can do a satellite map on CarPlay. There may be another app like TomTom or ABP, a better route planner. I haven't tried those to date. Another really interesting feature is offline maps. Now, because these all use your phone and of course a data connection, you may want to download maps because, let's be honest, sometimes signal is not the best. Apple Maps and Google Maps are the only two that offer downloading of maps. Of course, you have to do this on your phone first. Waze sadly doesn't offer that option. Now, when searching for POIs on Apple Maps, so if we search for a Prezzo, one of my favourite Italian restaurants, you can see here it actually shows you the ratings and reviews. But more specifically, this is of course all third party because Apple don't have their own review system. They rely on third party vendors for those ratings. But it does give you useful information on like the hours and if they accept payments, which they do accept. Don't know why that's there. But a whole bunch of other things underneath as well, which is quite useful. Google Maps, although very, very useful with their POIs on the phone, it doesn't actually come up on CarPlay, which can be a little bit annoying if you want a quick glance of something and you're browsing something before you leave or something like that. Not that I recommend people use this while driving, it's just purely from a functionality point of view. Apple Maps has a little bit more detail on here. And same thing of course goes for Waze. It purely just wants to get you there as quickly as possible, which some people might actually want from a sat-nav, but just pointing out the differences. Then we get on to everyone's favourite topic, and that is speed cameras. Now, handily, based on when I'm making this video, Apple Maps, Google Maps and Waze offer all the same thing, but Waze have a trick up their sleeve, and it is one of the reasons why Waze is so popular. We'll get to that in a second. Now, Apple actually allow you to report certain things now, so you can report a crash, a speed check, or traffic, or roadworks, and there's a couple more just underneath as well. Google Maps also offer a very similar thing, so they have crash, congestion, police, mobile speed camera, and these genuinely do work, because when people report them, they appear in other people's cars, and you can clearly see. I've seen plenty of examples of the mobile speed camera. Waze has had this since day one, and this was how Waze actually built up so much traction, was because of the community aspect behind it. So whether it be traffic or police or an accident or just something on the road, even debris, bad weather, even a map issue, all this community reporting is how Waze was actually formed in the first place, and is still why it's so strong today. Now, if you're very much in the Apple ecosystem, this feature is quite a good one. Say we're navigating to our good old place, Bournemouth Pier, and I want to share that with a fellow Apple user. You can do that. You can go share ETA just on the bottom, and you can share it with the contacts in your phone book. Google Maps does offer this as well, but only on the app. I haven't seen it on the CarPlay version of the app just yet, but it could be coming in the future because there are a few updates coming to Google Maps. Have you noticed they're actually adding Gemini to Google Maps as well, which would be quite interesting. It could actually make it even better than it already is at the moment. Lastly, from a feature set, is calendar integration. Now, Apple Maps does this, Google Maps doesn't, but Waze does. Pretty useful if you run your life on the calendar like I do and you have all your locations of where you're going to be at a specific time, it will just natively appear on the car screen. So either on Apple Maps intelligently, or if you go onto the calendar, you can view all of your appointments, but then it'll also show you exactly where to go, and it just immediately gets the sat-nav going. Waze also has that calendar integration as well, which is brilliant because it just makes your life so much easier when you get in the car. So, which one is more reliable? Now, none of that matters unless the reliability is rock solid, because at the end of the day, we use these navigation services to get us from point A to point B as quickly as possible, avoiding as much traffic as possible, or if we don't know the area at all. So if it lets you down, you're going to hate it. You won't want to use it again. So I've used all three, and all three have let me down, and I've faced a wall of traffic before, but that could have been down to individual circumstances at the time, and I could just have had a bad day, for example. But Apple Maps definitely has let me down before in London a couple of times and has put me off using it there. But Google Maps, I think, has had the best reliability, but of course Waze is pretty good with its community reporting as well. So ultimately, Apple Maps has got better over the years, and I do love the design fluidity of how it works with iOS, and of course the calendar integration, but I do lean more towards using Google Maps. I just wish Google Maps had the calendar integration. Waze is also pretty good as well, but ultimately at the end of the day, Google Maps is just your overall winner, because Google Maps allows you to navigate in the car, immediately get your phone out, and then you can start navigating again on foot, or by train, or by bike, or whatever. Whereas Waze is strictly in the car only. Now, believe it or not, I actually put out a poll the other day on YouTube to see which one that you guys use, and it seems after around about 1,000 votes, Google Maps was the winner, with Waze being a close second and then Apple Maps underneath. Don't get me wrong, Apple Maps is pretty good, but I think from an overall package, Google Maps does take the winner here. But guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Is there a mapping provider you personally use? Should I review some more? Should I compare some more? Or are there some features that I should check out on a future video? Maybe I should check out Google Maps on its update when it has this new Gemini feature added. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. Give us a like, hit that subscribe button. You know what to do. And I'll see you all very, very soon.